at the table in every school district contract negotiation session. And again, school board members are volunteers, and we, the school board, should be employing professional negotiators. So this is a big problem. The out of control wages, unless we get a cap on that, we can pass Senate Bill 76, but we don't have the cost drivers solved on the other end. The other thing is, I absolutely am a believer that we must eliminate prevailing wage mandates on school districts, okay? In my home school district in York, Pennsylvania, this summer, my school district put on 4 or 5 replacement roofs on their buildings. Replacement roofs, older buildings. They got 2 prices. The prevailing wage price was $2.8 million. The non-prevailing was $2.2. It was $600,000 more. They had to go with the $2.8 million. They basically wasted $600,000. We must do away with prevailing wage mandates on school district buildings, whether they're repair, maintenance, or rebuild. So how are we going to skin this cat? And this is what it's going to take. There are some senators that won't vote for prevailing wage elimination. But so I'm thinking there's a way to skin this cat. And I'm going to introduce, already have a prevailing wage bill, and now that Senator Pelleggi has left, I believe that we're going to be able to get that bill out of the Education Committee and get it out and start moving it forward. But this is what it's going to take to get it done. There's going to have to be provisions in this bill where each school district goes out and gets it. They're going to be required, if anything takes place, they have to get 2 prices, prevailing wage and non-prevailing wage, okay? And in order to get everybody to play along, we're going to have to do an opt-in or opt-out. And the school board will make a decision. They can make a decision to go with the non-prevailing wage, or if they're in a heavy union district, say down towards Philadelphia, and they want to opt in and go with the prevailing wage price, they can go. But this way taxpayers will see the difference, the huge difference between the 2 bids. That's what's going to take. And I think over time, when people see how much money goes to prevailing wage projects versus non-prevailing wage, you're probably going to have lynch mobs at some of these school board meetings. So, I think that's a big step. I also, in the next couple weeks, am contemplating, and most likely will do this, I think we should have a moratorium on new school construction for the next 3 years. Okay? Enough is enough. Until we figure this mess out. But what's happening is we're continuing to pay pensions, benefits, salaries, and all this kind of stuff, and we have this runaway train. Senator McGarrigle, who is a new senator, he's in his 2nd year from down in Delaware County. He has a school district in his Senate district. It's being, or a building. A school district is building a building. The project is $140 million. Okay. Now I guarantee you, the prevailing wage costs in there are probably easily $20 million. But if that school district wanted to spend that, and the taxpayers were fine with it, they all wanted to pay their taxes, fine. But I think over here in other areas of Pennsylvania, people would have an option, and I think that's a way to slow down this runaway train. So, real quickly, the school board salary, the salaries on school board, or excuse me, the salaries of districts, the conflict on school boards, eliminating prevailing wage, and a moratorium, I think is a big step that has to be a component of Senate Bill 76. But Senate Bill 76 comes back up for a vote. I'm going to be voting for it because we need to get the ball out on the field. Again, as I said, hiding the ball just isn't working. I moved down on the list. I think, Rod, you have roads and highways include state police salaries. I joined the Senate about 6 months after the transportation bill was voted in. We now have the highest gas tax in the nation. Okay? When this bill was being contemplated back in October of 2013, November of 2013, I went to House members. Now again, I wasn't in the Senate, but I went to House members that in our county, and I said, I have an idea. Why don't you raise the license plate fees on motor vehicles from $36 and make them similar to what they are in Maryland? In Maryland, you pay $135 for 2 years, or $67.50, and not raise the gas tax as high as it currently is now. And so I'm throwing around an idea. Don't take this to the bank, but if we were to increase if we were to increase the tag fees on motor vehicles and we were to lower the gas tax, think about that. Do a calculation. If your tag fee on your car is double what it is, it's 36 now, and it were to double to 72, but we lowered the gas tax by, say, 15 cents a gallon, figure out how much gas you use over a year, and is that a better deal? I don't know the answer. But what I do know is somehow we have to pay for this stuff. And I don't know the answers, and I'm having a discussion tonight, and I'm willing to discuss, throwing ideas out on the table. I've been successful in business because we have thrown ideas on the table for over 30 years. And some ideas, and I'm the guy who comes up with a lot of the ideas in our company. The people who work for me, the senior managers, my CFO, my director of operations, are two people that say, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Okay, or they say, that's a great idea, we should pursue it. And we run numbers, we do studies, and if it makes sense, we typically do it. But I think in Harrisburg, we haven't, because I talk about getting the ball out on the field with Senate Bill 76, everybody has a fear of getting it out on the field, and the other problem right now is House members, every House member, including Mark, is up for re-election right now. And every 2 years, right now, I think it's the next 4 weeks, petitions have to be signed, and nobody wants to do anything because petitions have to be signed. But listen, it's business as usual in Harrisburg, and we've got to continue to get things done. So, Ron, I'm gonna probably spin through for another 5 minutes, and I'll take questions. But I will tell you that I'm a business owner. I've been in business for over 35 years. And we have a lot of challenges in the state of Pennsylvania. In fact, it's very scary. I'm 60 years old. I turned 60 in September. And these are the challenges. And there's a lot of discussion. Sales tax revenue is big for our state, okay? When you go and you buy a refrigerator, you buy a stereo, if you go to the jewelry store and you buy a piece of jewelry for your wife, if the guys in the audience, if you buy jewelry for your wives, you get your points. But there's sales tax involved. I was talking to a jeweler down in Lancaster, and he said, Scott, I lost a $10,000 sale for a ring to the internet. He said, if I had sold the ring in my store, I would have gotten $10,000 and charged 6% sales tax. The customer came in, looked at it, actually took a photo of their cell phone, they bought it on the internet, they didn't pay sales tax. The internet is a huge factor right now that is affecting the sales tax revenue. And we have to have revenue to pay for things. I don't know the answer, but I'm throwing this out, and this is a challenge in a lot of states. The other thing that is very big, and I'm watching very closely, is that every single day, 10,000 people are turning 65 in the U.S. for the next 20 years. The largest birthday any single day are 85-year-olds. My father's 85 years old, and my mother's 83. And there is a huge shift that is incredible. And there's the silent generation, which my father would be the silent generation. I have a gentleman, my safety director in my company is 70, he's silent generation. I'm a baby boomer. We have millennials and Gen Xers in our company. In my companies, my waste company, we have 375 employees. We employ 4 generations right now. And it's very interesting to watch what's happening. And I had a very long discussion with a group of people this past weekend. The buying habits are changing. The baby boomers, as the baby boomers turn 65 and retire and get closer to 75 and 80, their consumption levels are going down. They're not buying as much. And the young kids today, the millennials and the Gen Xers, they don't want to own homes. They don't want to work in the yard. They want to live in apartments. They want to live in condos. They want to be mobile. It's a very different lifestyle they're looking for. And Pennsylvania has a very, very large state where we have a lot of retirees. And a lot of retirees at a point in their lives need health care. And we have to rely on the state and federal government to pay for these health care services. So these are demographics that are huge for us. And it's something we have an obligation to take care of people. And that leads me into the next area. I don't think we have an obligation to take care of people who commit fraud. And I can tell you right now, there's a lot of welfare fraud. There is workers' comp fraud. The fraud is everywhere. And I think it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the Auditor General, Jack Wagner, identified, I think, Jason, was $1 or $5 billion worth of fraud. And $1 billion worth of fraud just in the welfare department, Department of General Services. We don't do anything about this. And so, you know, there are people that pay taxes and work hard throughout their lives, and those are the type of people that we have to take care of and we have to respect. But my company, recently in the last 3 years just settled, I probably settled my 10th workers' comp fraud case that took place over a 30-year period. Had a young guy came to work for us, and he worked for us as a temp to hire for 90 days through a temp agency, and his first week on the job, on our payroll, he was injured. And it turned out, he said he had an injured shoulder. It turned out he grew up in Puerto Rico. He was in his 30s, was former semi-pro professional boxer. He needed both rotator cuffs replaced. My company paid for those. And we had an incredible task to get this, to finally settle out and get this guy off our payroll. And those cases typically run anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 per case to settle out. Okay, and we settled it out for, I think, around $150,000 or $175,000 because we are so aggressive and we're self-insured. But I can tell you, those are the kind of things that if we had workers' comp reform in the state of Pennsylvania, and it helped businesses. And I can tell you right now that I sincerely believe that fraud in the workers' comp system costs between $2.5 and $5 billion a year to Pennsylvania businesses. Now, folks, why I say that is that everybody's interested in tax elimination on real estate. We're talking about Senate Bill 76. Well, we need to find $11 billion over here. So if we get rid of $1 billion of fraud in the Department of Welfare, and we get rid of, say, $3 billion worth of fraud in the welfare system, and let's say there's some fraud in the unemployment comp system and other areas, you know, before you know, we might be adding up $11 billion pretty quickly. Or this pension problem we have, and don't shoot me, I'm the messenger, but I've had a lot of conversations with lawyers within the Senate and on the outside. The deal that was made on these pensions, we have to honor. We cannot constitutionally not pay these pensions. So we have to figure a way to pay this very, very large bill. And I'll tell you another, we're just talking about the governor and something he's not talking about. I talked about turning over rocks. The state of Pennsylvania pays 1.37% to have $70 billion worth of pension money managed in the state of Pennsylvania. It's 137 basis points. It's almost $1 billion. If the governor would bring the investment people in and get them around the table, trust me when I tell you this, because I'm in business and I do this every day, they will reduce their fees by 1/3, okay? And 1/3 of $1 billion is $300 million, and that's $300 million that could go back into the pension system. But that's just another rock that the governor is not, you know, pursuing. So we have a lot of challenges in Pennsylvania, and I've pledged the 2 4-year terms, and so that's 8 years, and I'm in my first year of my first term. I'm not going away. And you know, I didn't go to Harrisburg intentionally to make enemies, but I guess maybe I've made a few. I really don't care. And you know, in the paper, you know, I serve on the Appropriations Committee, but in the papers the last couple of weeks, especially towards the end of the year, the governor came out and made a comment when he has a press conference over the budget. This was an exercise in stupidity, and that it was total garbage, the budget. And I sat through 31 appropriations hearings, which took almost 80 hours. One day, my feet were so swollen up, and I was going to take, it was like being on an airplane, I was going to take my shoes off, but if I take my shoes off, I couldn't get them back on. And you know what, that's the kind of crap that this governor is saying that offends me, and offends other people like Mark that are up there. We do care what we're doing. There are some people that don't care, and there are some people that cast votes that aren't there, and I think we're going to start weeding those people out. And the people that aren't doing their jobs are going to, as I've heard, you're going to turn the heat up in some districts. And I think, you know, my goal is to educate the senators that I serve with and get them to start talking more. Over the years, the protocol was that the senators in the Senate did what leadership told them to do. Well, trust me, I've had a small problem, and it started out at probably age 2 or 3. I didn't do well when I was told what to do. And you ask my mother, she will tell you. And, but, you know, I'm up there to do the right thing, and, you know, 2 + 2 = 4, but it's time, and I think what you're doing, your efforts are very effective. And if you are in Harrisburg, I know Rod's been in Harrisburg, so some other people in the audience have been in Harrisburg, stop by my office. I'm going to tell you the truth. I may not be telling you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And like this pension problem, this is a very large problem. We have to solve this. This is an albatross that's going to, you know, sink us. So with that, I'll take questions. Rod, I'm not going to talk about the national situation, but we have a lot of problems, folks. And you know, listen, I have been able to build a couple successful businesses over the last 35 years. The United States of America and the state of Pennsylvania have been very good to me. And it's my time to repay, and we're going to do the right things. And I think we're getting on the right track. Are we there yet? No, but I think we're moving in the right direction. But I will also tell you that I think we still have another 3 painful years with Governor Wolf in office. So let's hope that maybe Governor Wolf decides that maybe he doesn't want to run again because he's tired of dealing with, you know, people like me and others. So with that, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Senator Wagner, I absolutely oppose to what you said, that we are obligated to pay for these pensions. No, we're not. You can roll those pensions back. If Rendell did it, and from what I remember, Rendell, you know, did it kind of in the middle of the night or something, that I don't know why you're saying we're obligated to pay it. Why can't we just, if there's no money, there's no money, we just roll back the pensions to where they were before?
I hear what you're saying, and I would invite you to come to Harrisburg and come to my office and sit down with a couple of attorneys and they will explain. I'm not an attorney. It has to do with constitutionality. The pension vote that took place in 2001 gave benefits. We do not constitutionally have the right to take those benefits away. I don't agree with that.
My boss takes pensions
Well,
away when he doesn't have the money.
but it's not a government entity. That's the problem. And I'm only the messenger, and I spend a lot of money privately with attorneys, and sometimes my attorneys don't tell me what I like to hear. And sometimes I look at my attorney and say, you know, I hear what you're saying, I'd really like to choke you, but you've been my attorney for a long time and you've kept me out of trouble. I'm only telling you what I'm being told. There are, and it's, you know, I would invite you to come to Harrisburg and hear from the legal people. Now, let's say we decide to pull some fast one and we try something with the pensions. There is a 190% chance. Now, I'm not saying 100%. I'm saying 190% chance that the state Supreme Court is going to overturn anything we do. Because guess what? We lost the Supreme Court. So. But I'm being honest with you, and I'm not going to stand here and tell you, well, maybe we could do this. We are in a box. And I will tell you that when I look back at that 2001 pension vote, I just can't, what were people thinking when they voted in 2001? So I appreciate your comment, and please, I invite you, we'll give you, my chief of staff will give you my card. I would love you to come to Harrisburg, and if there's a way, trust me. I have also investigated, can Pennsylvania file bankruptcy? Listen, when Bethlehem Steel filed bankruptcy, they had 20,000 people that weren't working that were getting benefits and 10,000 people working. Bankruptcy really solves a lot of problems. Constitutionally, we can't file bankruptcy. If I could introduce a bill that would allow Pennsylvania to file bankruptcy, I would do it. I'd be back to do it tonight. But we are put in a box, and I'm the messenger, but I'm telling you, I'm determined we're gonna figure this out in some way. The other problem we have is, and this really angers me to a certain degree, we don't tax retirement income in the state of Pennsylvania, okay? But you know what really upsets me is the two guys that are getting pensions from Penn State. The one guy, $477,000 a year, and $455,000 a year. Do you think they can afford to pay 3% tax on their pensions? So Jason and I looked in, Jason High, my chief of staff, looked into taxing pensions or retirement income over $50,000. We can't do it constitutional because you're selecting. I mean, I'm a business guy, and in my world, there's